Guys, welcome back to Rise and Grind. Megan, happy Monday.
Happy Monday.
It's an interesting and somber Monday, though. We are going to take a moment here, first and foremost, to, again, it's 9/11, right? We're going to take a moment to honor all of the first responders, the people who lost loved ones on this day. So we'll pause for a second and honor those people. All right. Again, big shout out though, and I want to just the people who had the loved ones, not only in the building, but that were first responders that went in and risked their lives. Wow. When you think about that sacrifice, that was not only a sacrifice for, that specific person, that their whole family.
Absolutely. And most people run away from tragedy, right? And disaster. And these were heroes that ran towards it to help others despite what they had going on in their personal lives, which is incredible.
Totally. So today we are going to honor, at Adapting Social especially, just in general, all day long, we're going to be honoring the heroes, the people who lost a loved one. And it's just always forever going to be a somber day when we think back to what happened. So thank you for the family members and, for those first responders who, went in there and paid the ultimate price. All right, so let's dive right into our Monday trends and that we have going on here, Rise and Grind, man.
All right.
Kick us off here.
Okay, well, yesterday was the first official football Sunday of the year, which was very exciting. For me, I'm not too much of a football fan, but I am a commercial fan. I love getting to watch all of the new commercials for football season from the bigger brands and see, what trends are they pushing. And one that was really interesting that stood out because it had a lot of controversy in the beginning of the year is Bud Light, who their sales really went down after that first transgender campaign that they did in the beginning of the year. And now they're looking to rebound with a new campaign, which is branded NFL and college football cans and cases. Yep. So the campaign includes these new creatives, the custom cans and packages, different games and giveaways and special events. But other marketers are asking themselves, is it enough to pull Bud Light back out of the little bit of a hole that they dug themselves into? There's a few marketers out there who don't believe that it's enough. They think that their creativity is just dead amongst Bud Light, and they're not sure how they're going to recover this year. So
it's going to be interesting to watch, right? But you know what? Again, good marketing, good branding.
Definitely.
Some way, can prevail. We've seen it done before.
And
we'll
football fans, I feel like football fans love their team's logos, right? So anything that they can get with their team on it, they're going to. At least football fans that I know. So there is a chance for Bud Light to redeem themselves. Thinking of the 5 people. No, I'm just kidding. But really, when you think about football fans, I mean, I've seen, man caves decked out with every single football team item you can possibly think of. So we'll see how the cans pan out.
Let's see. I mean, that's definitely gonna be interesting. And speaking of that, because right now we're seeing, these, football and ads, and everybody listen, when you think about football, you think about good beer, good food, pizza, wings, like you just like feasting, watching your team go. But you're right. I mean, it's about watching those ads, right?
Absolutely.
On that topic, one of the things that we need to talk about here, guys, is for people who are running their own ads. I had a great conversation this past weekend with a business owner who's kind of like doing their own thing themselves. And they're like, I'm running these ads on Meta, I'm running these ads, on Google, and I'm not getting the clientele that I want from it. And I asked them, I'm like, well, show me, what you're using for the ad creative, which means the image or the video. And let me see your ad copy. And thirdly, let me see your offer. And so I went through this and they were all awful.
Oh no.
And I was like, dude, you can't expect to have total shit for all these different things. And, and the interesting part, right, is at the end of the day, most people feel like, well, it's it's better than not having it out there, which is in some cases true, right? But at the end of the day, you have to have a compelling offer, number one, right? If you're going to be separated in your marketplace, you have to have a compelling offer that is going to separate you from the competitors. Bottom line, I mean, it's just that simple.
Right.
You have to have a really good offer. Secondly, you have to have a really good creative, meaning like the image or the video. If you don't have a really good creative that's going to make somebody stop from scrolling, or stop from their research to say, well, this is interesting, then they're not going to stop. They're going to keep going. And then lastly, your ad copy, again, offer important, ad creative is important. And then the channels and how much you're spending is very important. So a lot of people are like, well, I'm running these ads, I'm trying these new things, I want to build my business. It's not working. Well, guys, you have to understand, you have to have those three things really buttoned up. The right channels, the right ad spend. Because again, most people don't realize that when you spend too little, you actually wind up just throwing money into a fireplace. Because
Right.
at the end of the day, especially platforms like Google and Meta right now, these channels, guys, they're expensive. So, when you're not doing the right thing, or if you have a very small budget and a large audience, typically it'll just spend your money because it wants to get that money, right? And it doesn't get you quality leads. It doesn't give you enough time to do what it needs to do in the learning phases. So ultimately, right, it's ad creative that's really compelling. Secondly, a really good offer that's going to make you stand out. And then thirdly, you have to have the right channel to market on, right? So if you're not a B2B business, don't even think about LinkedIn, right? So it's just like understanding those three things are important. And that's why when you see football, right now is a time for you to position your company and to start doing some things that are like football-like or football-esque or whatever, because it's just the time.
Yeah, relevant and relatable. You want to make sure that you are relevant and relatable. Otherwise, nobody's going to stop to think twice about the creative that you put out there.
So ultimately, I think just on that topic, it's just really, really important that you start to figure out how you can, and this is the thing, you said it so perfectly, relevant and relatable, right? At the end of the day, if you are relevant, it means you're going on with pop culture trends, what's going on. And right now that is football.
Yeah.
Everybody's excited about football is back. So anyway, get those ads, focus on those three things, ad creative, your offer and your separator. And lastly, marketing on the right channel if you're doing it yourself.
Right.
If you need support, we got your back.
It doesn't have to be football though either. I mean, it's just Football Sunday has a lot of commercials, but another example is Hyundai. They have a commercial out right now riding on the return back to the office trend, and their entire campaign is pitched around welcome back to the commute, right? So it's just another relevant thing that's going on today that they're incorporating into a platform that everybody watches, which is Football Sunday.
Love it. Football's back. Let's go.
All right, moving along here. Meta is now suggesting carousels of posts from Threads in users' Instagram feeds. And we were just talking about
Threads?
Exactly, because Threads usage is down. Nobody is really participating on the app, posting on the app. And now all of a sudden they're trying to find integrations between the two. Even on Threads now, there's an option where you can send to somebody's Instagram DM. So they're trying to cross between the two for a little bit more engagement. But even still, I'm not quite sure if the cross-channel implementation is enough to get more engagement on Threads.
Right. So we're seeing though right now, which is wild. So according to recent data, there are 130 million Threads users right now. The growth has slowed down significantly. And right now we're just seeing about 79% decrease since launch.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah.
79% decrease since they launched that damn thing.
Yeah,
So
huge and a little bit expected.
Yeah.
So this push is more of a way to keep Threads at top of mind on other platforms that are getting the usage that they were expecting.
Right.
Again, is it enough of a push? Not sure. We'll find out.
We shall see. We shall see.
All right. This is the big one. X is lifting the platform's 2019 ban on political ads, which there was a lot of controversy around
Elon
political
wants that
ads.
Money.
Yeah, he's money for sure, but he's also trying to align the app with what he had mentioned when he took over the app, which was the freedom of speech, right? So you can push any information that you want as long as it's true. So he is building up a team. I think he's calling it a safety team, who's going to make sure that the information launched in political ads is factual. Now, what I'm curious to know is we were talking about how good AI is getting lately.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
And with the ability to advertise for this election that's coming up and how big AI is right now, will we see the two cross each other? And I'm not sure. Hopefully, X is built up enough to be able to detect any sort of AI on the platform, especially if they're doing political ads now.
Right.
But that'll be.
I gotta be honest. I don't think Elon is going to care as long as because they need more ad revenue.
Yeah.
That's their problem right now is they need ad revenue. They're really bloated at the moment. Well, he's helping them become less bloated. Like he doesn't need offices, letting go all those people, yada yada. But it's like ultimately like they want ad revenue. So that's why they're bringing this back. And honestly, again, like number one, that's definitely the reason. There's no because political ad spend on an annual basis is bananas.
Right.
Because they put a lot of money into that. So realistically, just to see like that revenue come back into X is going to be interesting. Also, quick fun fact. I saw a video the other day that I had no idea. So when Elon had PayPal, he initially was trying to call PayPal X.
Oh, really?
And so in the like late 90s, like he was talking about X.com then.
Oh my gosh.
So it's so wild that he's had that domain since the 90s.
Oh my gosh.
So first of all, if you didn't know that, that's
crazy.
Cool. But you know, it just also plays back to just a visionary and somebody who like when you have an idea, you lock into it and like it doesn't matter how much time passes, you pull that off the shelf and you get it done. And it's so cool that like seeing that and him talking about that in the freaking late 90s or like it might have been mid 90s, who knows? But it was like when he's balding in the front, he had male pattern baldness in the front at that time. That was like old Elon, right? So it's like ultimately though, it's so crazy that now boom, here's X. But again, political campaigns back to that, like, you know, it's going to be interesting to see what kind of stuff is on X. From a personal perspective, again, I've never been a big Twitter user, not a big X user. But it's going to be interesting to see what happens, you know, within the next quarter. Forget the next year, right? The next year, we're going to see such crazy stuff happen with social media in general. But I'm excited to see what this political like lift does for X.
To your point, I wonder if it's going to bring users over to the platform because they want to see what's going on.
Yeah.
I mean, not a lot of other platforms.
Well, let's be real though. In most cases, if you are somebody who's like hyper political, you typically already on Twitter or X.
That's true.
Like anybody I know like that is not political, like does not look at Twitter or now X. You know what I mean? So it's like the people that I know that are hardcore, you know, right or left, they're all super, super on those platforms. So I don't know. It's interesting because all platforms have a different level of the policy guidelines around it.
Right.
But again, there's no holds bar on X. And it's even to the point where it's like on X, like there's like for instance, like if you go to Instagram or TikTok or any other platform, like there's no nudity allowed.
No.
And I had no idea this, but literally my little brother was showing me this one ad for something and literally there was like naked people in it. I'm like,
oh my gosh.
What the heck?
On X?
On X. And so I looked up their policies. So you're actually 100% allowed to do that on X.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
That is crazy.
But it's before X. Twitter always allowed it. So it's so I had no idea, but that's what I'm saying. So like I'm not surprised because they've kind of always been that like in a way rebellious with certain things like that policy wise.
Right.
So the fact that they're lifting this just makes sense. It's like why would you take so long?
Yeah, definitely. Speaking of X, they also are allowing creators to take their subscribers across platforms. So now if you subscribe to a business page or creator page on X, there will be an option to add your email, and the creator can now take your subscription and put you into their email marketing platform or into a retargeting ad. or whatever that may be. Whereas originally, if you subscribed on X, that creator can only engage with that subscriber on the platform, right? So
It's a lot of value.
Yeah, it's a ton of value.
For marketers, definitely a lot of value.
Absolutely. It's a way for somebody to subscribe with the click of a button on a social platform, and all of a sudden they're integrated into your email marketing software, which is incredible.
Yeah.
And not something that we've seen so easily available on other platforms either.
Yeah, that's huge. And on that topic, though, speaking of emails and being able to drip and utilize those databases that you're going to build from X, I think the one thing I wanted to say, again, if you guys have email lists or if you have marketing campaigns running, one thing that nobody does properly when doing it themselves is setting up the drip campaigns. Like the way that you make sure that people who you've spent money to get put in front of, that potentially filled out a form or like called or whatever, the way you make sure that they keep coming back to you is by you putting out these drip campaigns, right? So text drips, email drips. And so, like, again, as a small business owner or as a solopreneur, whatever it is that you're doing, a lot of times you're doing it yourself, and you have to make sure you're doing the retargeting properly and the drip campaign properly. Because a lot of times people just, I'm going to throw an ad on Facebook or I'm going to throw an ad on Google, and then it's like peeing in the wind, right? You know, you're not going to get what you need out of that. So it's important you set up those drip campaigns, drip texts, drip emails. If you don't know what that is, Google it and apply it and see how it can help your ads.
Yeah, you need those touch points. We had a new client sign on recently, and I had a conversation with them last week about this because they said, Megan, I have tried every way to market my business, but it doesn't work. They're not converting on the first click. And I said, we don't live in a first click conversion world anymore. You have to put them into an email drip campaign or an SMS drip campaign. And it's just the world that we live in nowadays.
100%. It's definitely.
All right. Our next trend here is Instagram is rolling out longer reels. Some users are now able to test up to 3-minute or even 10-minute reels, which is really interesting because we found that over the years, the length of our videos have cut down, right, to 7 seconds, 10 seconds, 30 seconds. And now we're going back the other way. So
it's because people like Rob are on their phone all day watching these videos.
It could be very possible.
He's watching these videos all day long, and they're like, this guy needs a longer video.
But something that's interesting is a lot of content creators will use Reels as a way to advertise some of their longer form content on YouTube, right? So I can get more subscribers on YouTube if I post a Reel that shows the vlog teaser, right?
Totally.
Now there's a potential for vlogs to go vertical and be posted on Instagram Reels because it's longer form content.
Right.
So it's a way for Instagram to start to compete with YouTube's long form content.
Listen, I don't care what anybody says. Unless you're like Joe Rogan or one of those major like podcasters or like even like the bigger guys now, you'll see like, it's like when I go to, you know how like on YouTube now, it'll tell you like, this is the most recently watched, or this is the most rewinded, or overwatched, whatever. Even like big people out there, like Gary Vee is an example, like, or people like that. Their stuff, even their long form content on YouTube, at least from what I'm seeing, is like so much. It's like not watched past like a couple minutes. So it's like, I think the longest one that I've ever listened to in my life on this planet was a Joe Rogan one, and it was during COVID, and he had that one doctor on talking about stuff. And I was actually, me and Jacqueline were going away for our baby moon, so I had a like 4-hour trip anyway. So I was like, let's just pop on Joe Rogan and listen to it. And I've never listened to I think it was like a 2-hour podcast. So it's like,
yeah, they're typically like 3 hours long.
Right. But people listen to his stuff because he has the most interesting people in the world on it.
Right.
But so it's like, even the ones like, again, like I tell you all the time, like I enjoy popping in every now and again to watch like Dave Portnoy and stuff, only because it's like he just argues with everybody. But like I can't make it past like a minute. Like I watch some stuff, it's funny, whatever, then I'm over it. Like, so it's interesting. It's interesting that IG's doing this. They're competing with the YouTube platform, right? Like they want longer form content to live on their platform. But the funny part is that this is the thing I was talking about. In the next year, what's going to be so interesting is Meta's going to try to be YouTube. They're going to try to be TikTok. Everybody's trying to be everybody.
Everyone's trying to be everybody.
Everybody's trying to be everybody. Nobody's just trying to be like, remember Vine? Remember the Vine days, the good old days? It's like, nobody, like Vine was the one you created short form content on. What was it, like 7 seconds max you could do on that? Like
I think
10
so.
seconds?
Yeah.
But it's like, why can't everybody like just stay in your freaking lane? you know?
It's funny. I saw an article this morning that was talking about how all these platforms have tried to copy TikTok, and now TikTok is actually trying to copy
Back,
them.
right?
Yeah, they're
Fighting
introducing
back.
messaging. They're trying to figure out how they can be more like Snapchat. So it really is like every platform is trying to adopt the features of another.
It's incredible.
Mhm.
Because the thing is though, is that again, it's like nobody wants to be like, okay, Facebook, right? Facebook, and this is also the challenge. Facebook was created and they were like the first platform to have groups, have go live, do like, have events. Like they were pulling all these softwares into one, and then it was like, okay, let's buy WhatsApp, let's buy Instagram, let's buy this, buy that. And then now, before you know it, like Meta essentially does everything that every other social company does.
Right.
And what's interesting, like Snapchat was the one that, like, when it was out in the beginning, it was like the one that was like legitimately the one mainly doing like story stuff first.
Right.
Like you put stuff on Snap, it'd be quick, and it was like in the long ways, like
Vertical, yeah.
vertical thing. So vertical, and it's like then everybody started jumping on board with it, and it's like now everybody's just trying to everybody. But it's going to be so interesting to see what happens next. But it's like I don't like. Do we like what platform do we go to then? Like that's the crazy part. Like is Meta eventually going to introduce like YouTube TV?
Mm-hmm.
It's like what like when is Meta going to do that? It's like Meta
one
TV,
platform for all.
Well, that's what
that's what
X
wants to do. Yeah, but he wants to do it in a way where you can bank with the app and you can go there for your written content and your video content. And the banking part just I still am not on board with that.
Wild.
We had a comment come through when we were talking about the longer form content on Instagram. And the comment was, would this imply that content creators can use their reels to support long form content like podcasts? And that is true. That's actually something that you can do now. So if you're publishing a podcast on YouTube or on even Apple Podcasts or Spotify, you can create a teaser reel and then put that link to the longer form content in your bio or within the caption. But Reels is a great way to already support long form content. With this update, it's possible that you can now publish your long form content on Instagram.
Right.
So you might not, or in addition to YouTube, right? You don't want to completely replace channels that you're publishing. You just want to add to it. But it's a big update that we'll see. It might change the way that users use the platform.
I gotta say though, because I'm so native to IG that like if IG is gonna be like the new YouTube, it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be interesting.
It is.
But that's a great question that was asked.
Definitely. All right. Let's see what else do we have going on here.
I'll pop into mine.
Okay.
So every week we're gonna pop in and go over what the current unemployment rate is. So right now, we have the unemployment rate in the U.S. is currently 3.8%, and it's totaled 6.4 million people are currently unemployed. And again, we bring this information out there so that business owners, small businesses, people who are hiring, looking for amazing talent, know this information because again, it's important, right? Like right now, we live in a world where people are really aware of all of their options. They're really aware of what's out there, and also we find ourselves in a position where people we live in such a lifestyle first world now for employment, right? People don't want to go into the office as much anymore. People are having challenges with like becoming manual laborers. Like, you're seeing all the restaurants, things have gotten way better since like right after COVID. I've talked to a lot of restaurant owners across the US. We're seeing increases where people are going, they're working again and they're working in restaurants and stuff. And because in the past there was no staff, people they wouldn't go to work. But now we're seeing that change, but it's still difficult to find good quality people in those industries like restaurants, like manual laborers and different places like that. So again, each week we bring this information out just so we understand where we are in the labor market. So right now, again, US, we're at 3.8%, and total unemployed is 6.4 million people currently in the US.
Awesome. We also have each week we're going to be introducing an AI tool of the week. And this is one that I snuck in here. I didn't even talk to you about it, but
Good.
it's one that
I
I've
love
been using, and I really feel like I cannot get through my week without it. It's called Motion. If you haven't seen it yet, look it up.
It's a dancing app that helps you salsa better, right?
How did you know?
I saw you doing it.
It was on my annual goals to learn how to salsa, and this is how I can't get through my week without it. No, but it does feel like a dancing app, except with my calendar. So for anyone, all of those busy entrepreneurs, business owners, anyone who has their calendar booking up frequently while also having tasks they have to complete, what Motion does, it acts as a tool where you can put in your task and how long that project will take you. And as your calendar books up, it will figure out how to schedule in any of the really important projects that you need to complete so that you are still able to make moves and have progression towards your goals while meeting with the people that you need to keep your business going and flowing. So it's an incredible tool. It removes the thinking for you, which is amazing. Any decision friction that you have during the day of what task to start, you don't get that with Motion. So it's a great productivity tool.
For people out there who are like, I can't imagine AI like putting my schedule together, right? Can you give like a quick example of like it like actually having success with your schedule?
Yeah. Okay. Let's say this. Let's say I'm working on those drip campaigns that we've been talking about, right? And I know that I have an hour to put together these campaigns. It's going to take me a full hour. I can tell Motion, you can break this up into 15-minute time slots if needed, but it needs to be completed by today.
Right.
Now, let's say that my schedule all of a sudden becomes packed today.
Yep.
It will figure out all of the 15-minute increments that I have throughout the day to be able to still complete the task to that deadline without me having to come out of a meeting and think, okay, what do I have to do first? How much time do I have to complete a task?
Right.
And if I'm not able to complete it, it'll actually flag up that I'm not going to complete a task by the deadline, and I need to mention it to whoever I'm working with.
Interesting. AI running schedules, and again, I just want to bring this up. It's so crazy how much AI is like in my life currently right now. Yeah. And I didn't realize it, right, until like that one live that we had recently. Actually, no, I think it was one of the first ones. But it's like, I do the Oculus stuff, right? So like, I there's like this boxing workout in Oculus. So it's like a VR headset, and I every morning am boxing against essentially an AI bot that is learning and like understanding my moves. So for the past like 2 years that I've been doing it, like in theory, the more I increase the difficulty, it's harder and harder and harder, and in some cases almost nearly impossible because he knows my moves.
That's crazy.
Like actually, let me say, I said it knows my moves. I said it knows my moves. So it's wild because it's like I'm doing that with Tesla. It has autopilot, so it's driving me places, and it's like now things are making decisions in your calendar.
Right.
So where AI is going to go, it's such, I don't know. I'm embracing it personally.
Me too.
But I am hesitant in some ways, obviously. You got to be hesitant in some ways.
You have to be hesitant. But at the same time, it can help so much just automate some of the tasks in your life so that we can use our brain power for the more important things that we need to, right? Totally. And I think that's the part that I love in it and I'm embracing with AI is just I can focus on other things.
Totally. 100%. All right.
I think that is all we had today.
I think that's all she wrote, as they say.
Yep.
Guys, again, happy Monday. Take a moment today, to think about all the people, all the heroes, all the first responders, all the people who lost their lives on 9/11. This is always going to be a day where we have to stop, pause, reflect. And it's also kind of a day where it makes you stop and just say, like, damn, it makes you hold your family a little tighter, your loved ones. Makes you just understand, like, wow, like life is so precious and we don't know what tomorrow brings. We really don't. So today we honor all of those first responders. We're thinking about all the families still, that lost a loved one, and just, keeping our thoughts and prayers with those people specifically. But on that note, guys, crush the rest of your week, and we will see you next Monday.